Tell you what, vlogging on the floor feels like a return to the good old days of this channel. Hello, welcome back to good book reviews and to reading vlog number 31. Brand new reading vlog here on the channel. I'm going to take you through everything I read this week. I have very minimal reading plans. Today is the 26th of July and I think I've read maybe like 7 or 8 books this month as a whole, which I'm not going to knock. It's still books. Just getting my reading mojo back after kind of the burnout of June and the move of July and everything going on. So I've been reading little dribs and drabs of things, primarily through audiobook, and let's close out the month and see how many more books I can squeeze in. So I have already started The Shadowed Sun. That's what I've already started. I am 14 chapters through. 120 or so pages. I read the first book last week, so if you want to hear my thoughts on that, that vlog will be there. I'm picking up the sequel. I like that there is a 10-year time jump, which is an interesting thing to do for a duology and actually makes it feel more like 2 books in the same universe, but there's quite a lot of calling back to book 1 and what happened is close enough, but not too close. You know, there's some interesting stuff happening. I think I mentioned this on my Discord, which link below. But who'd have thought reading the sequel not 10 years after you read the first book would actually be a good idea? Reading the first book and then reading the sequel, revolutionary, I mean, really. And then I am still working on the audiobook of The Way of Kings, which is the first book in the Stormlight Archive, big, chunky, epic fantasy. I have about 7 hours left, I think, at the speed I'm listening to, so probably more like 8 if I take some time to listen to it a bit slower when I'm doing something that requires a bit more focus. I'm still really loving that. I've got a lot further through that this weekend and it's just good stuff. It's a nice thing to have on while you're walking places. It's all epic and battles and yeah, it's very rousing. Not arousing, rousing. I haven't planned anything else in to read. I would quite like to get to Once Upon a Broken Heart. Is that the Stephanie Garber one? Just because that was also on my TBR and I find digital books quite easygoing for when I'm in a bit of a slump, so I might see whether that comes around this week. That's kind of all I want to commit to at the moment. I don't want to overcommit. Stick with me. I will be checking in every so often, telling you about the things, and maybe updating you on my sewing project, which is behind me. I don't have a sewing table set up in this room yet because I need to work out shelving and blah, 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 blah. So I can only really sew when I've not got any laptops out, so Sunday is the day where I can sew. And I'm working on a dress for the lovely Asher over at Cat, a Book and a Cup of Tea, and I have like a top part done. Ooh, can I show you? A top part done. It's gonna be impossible to see on camera. This is not a forgiving fabric for the camera. It's looking really good. I'm really enjoying the pattern. I think making something for someone else is nice because you're kind of forced to do it all really properly because it's for someone else. And I think that might be something I carry forward into my own sewing projects, is myself as the person who's going to wear the thing as another person and doing it properly for that other person rather than being like, oh, it's only for me. I don't need to worry about this neck looking quite proper. Whereas when it's for someone else, you're like, oh, I should probably make this wearable for this person because it's going to be a gift. I think that's a good piece of life advice for me. I'd better get on with my day. I want to eat some breakfast. I'm trying to eat breakfast at the moment. It's going quite well. I think that's everything that you need to know for this week, so I shall speak to you anon. I don't know if you can tell, but it is now the end of the working day. Is this evidence enough? I've just come in. I don't normally do 2 check-ins a day now, but I thought I would attempt to capture my current thoughts on Once Upon a Broken Heart. Is that what it's called? I can't. The new Stephanie Garber. I'm kind of getting annoyed at it. And I haven't read a book that has been so annoying in quite some time. And I don't think it's bad as a book. I don't think it's like, oh no, this is problematic and terrible and everyone will hate this. But I read this kind of expecting that a lot of the problems that I know a lot of people had with Caraval, people loved it. People loved Caraval, but somebody on my Discord, I can't remember who it was now, said it was like 0 substance and all vibes. And I was like, okay, that was fine, but what are we going to do with this book? And so far, we have our main character, who I believe is called Evangeline, which is already a bad sign. No offense if you're called Evangeline, but as a main character name, oh, it's intense. And she's tried to turn other people to stone, and then she got turned to stone, and now everyone's really interested in her and her stepsister. There's a whole stuff going on, and she's so whiny. If she doesn't improve from here, I'm gonna be so sad. Because yeah, she's just very boy obsessed, and nothing will be good if she's never loved, and the most important thing is finding a boy or fate / God to hang out with. It's just nothing about it so far has gone, oh yeah, that's a cool idea, or oh yeah, that's a good bit of writing, or oh, that's an interesting character. And I don't think I'm going to DNF it, because it's not super long, it's like 400 pages or something, but it's not DNF worthy yet. And I want to explore, I want to get to the end because I want to know why I don't like it. The way that I am getting my brain to read it is imagining this as a dollhouse that somebody is playing with, and these characters are just bashing into each other, kissing, and just ambling about this nice dollhouse. And that's the only way I can think of it, is it's that level of, yeah, these are very plasticky people doing very plasticky things. It's bugging me. I have just reached the start of part 2, which is chapter 11, and I don't have high hopes for the rest of it, but I am willing to see. So I guess join me this week as I discover just how much I don't like this book. And to be fair, somebody on Discord was saying, why are you reading this? And in some ways I could just stop, but I have a review copy of it from NetGalley and I would like to be able to review it. And I think it is interesting as a Caraval. The series was undoubtedly very successful, and I think a lot of that was down to marketing and hype. And I was really interested into as whether this, fourth book, it's not in a series, but the fourth book that this author was coming out with would be different, and whether we would see that development of writing or the chance to really get a tighter edit on now that you're not dealing with the hype of a series, whether that would do anything. And at the moment my answer is, broadly speaking, no. We shall see. There are 300 or so pages left, so stay tuned for that. I am going to dilute it with some Jemison, so I can just remember what good writing is like. Continuing adventures of vlogging on the floor because I forgot to move my camera downstairs. Happy Tuesday. I look like a budget anime character. I finished The Shadowed Sun by N.K. Jemisin. This is the second book in the Dream Blood duology. I just sort of sat down and cracked on with it yesterday. I really enjoyed, is enjoyed the right word? It's got a lot of very dark themes, and there's a lot of quite hefty content warnings that would apply. So I urge you to go and look those up. So enjoyed isn't quite the right word, but I think it's a really good story, and I would definitely recommend doing what I did this time around as opposed to what I've done previously, and reading the two back to back, because while there is a time jump between the two, I think you need the background knowledge of what happened in book 1 to understand why people do the things they do in book 2. It's not necessarily about why the world is the way it is, but why people act the way they do. I feel like that's why it's important. N.K. Jemison's writing is lovely. I can't actually remember when this came out. 2012. So it's getting on a bit now. But I think it's just a good time. It's a good book. I just need to finish off 100,000 Kingdoms, and then I think I've read all the Jemison I want to read at the moment. I'm doing a lot of debating what things I want to pick up, because I'm aware that forcing myself to read a lot of the tomes that are sat on my TBR currently is not necessarily the wisest decision. I'm going to carry on with Once Upon a Broken Heart and probably come back to you with more of my thoughts. I haven't read any more of that yet. I think I'm going to pivot even more and possibly start my reread of, oh, come on, brain, get to the place that you need to get to. The Bone Ships trilogy by R.J. Barker. Now, to be fair, I think I only reread these in the end of last year or the beginning of this year, so they're fairly fresh in my mind, but with the third book, The Bone Ships Wake, coming out very soon, and I have a review copy for it now, I want to get them read. I'm kind of hoping I'll have a physical copy that I can read, but I'm not holding out hope, so we're going to do a reread of that, I think. That's my next plan, along with continuing, obviously, on with Way of Kings. Yeah, other than that, it's mostly been work, so that's not a huge amount of interesting things to report. I shall speak to you when I next speak to you, maybe in another room of the house and not sat on the floor. I've just filmed a video. It is Wednesday morning. I usually forget to vlog on a Wednesday, so we're going to do it now. Yes, I've just been filming my overbooked video for the Shadow Scent duology, which will be up tomorrow when you're watching this, so if you haven't subscribed, you should probably do that. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, I finished Once Upon a Broken Heart, and I had a lot of thoughts. So I think the best thing for me to do is to try and put them into some sort of amusing video content and bring that out, but it will have spoilers in it, so I'm going to film it, get it all ready, and then hold on to it until a little bit closer to the release date, because it would be really horrible for somebody to get spoiled by a video review from me, a person who went in kind of knowing I wasn't going to enjoy it, you know? Suffice to say, if you were annoyed by some of the elements of Caraval and the disappointingness of it, this won't change that for you. In fact, there's a fair amount of continuity. Yeah, I didn't like the main character. I found her very whiny. I didn't like the focus of the story. A better main character behind the wheel, and this could have been a very good story, but because she was so whiny, it just felt like all she was concerned about was finding a man. And it's book one in a series. Maybe she'll have that wonderful revelation that actually she's probably okay. But also, I'm gonna say probably not. I think love will be the driving motivator for the most of this book series. However, it did end on a bit of a cliffhanger / what will happen next. So now I will have to find out what happens next, because otherwise I will be sad. I would like to know what happens next, but I kind of don't want to read the book to find that out. Like, I just want somebody to tell me. Other than that, I did do a little bit more listening to Way of Kings. Let's check on how we're doing on that. I have just shy of 6 hours left on that one, which actually feels pretty doable. It's not going to be finished this week, but it might be finished by the time next week's vlog goes up. So that's exciting. And I'm still really enjoying it, especially in contrast this and The Way of Kings. I'm much more enjoying Way of Kings, I have to say. I've worn my sword earrings as just an exciting addition, thinking about swords. I think the general consensus at the end of last week's vlog was that a spoiler video would be quite fun, so I think I'm going to do something along the lines of, like, I've never read Stormlight before, here are my thoughts, which is a very literal title, but sometimes that's just how it is. And I think today I will probably start The Bone Ships, my reread, for that as well. I feel like that makes the most sense. Like, I've ditched my TBR so much, this will be way more fun. I also, at some point, need to film an August TBR. That might be a tomorrow morning kind of job. It'll be fine. It's going to be the same as my July TBR, just with the stuff I actually managed to read taken off. Never mind. Having filmed a video, I now need to go back to work, or to work. I haven't actually gone yet this morning, and have some breakfast. That's my reward for filming. So I shall speak to you anon. Hey, it was way too dark in the living room, so welcome to our incredibly messy conservatory, where there is probably a terrible echo. I'm living with it. I'm not going to talk about that book just yet. Let's talk about what I finished. I finished Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. This is not a sequel to House in the Cerulean Sea, but I would say they're like the same vibe, in that kind of really gentle approach to something quite sad. You feel like you're in safe hands. Like, it's a film, not a film. It's a book where nothing really too terrible is going to go wrong, and you're just like, I'm going to be okay at the end of this book. I might cry in the middle, but I will be okay at the end. And that was what happened with me. Actually, the thing that really made me cry was not what I was expecting to do so. So that was really an interesting moment, I suppose. Yeah, I would say well worth a read if you're interested. I did read House in the Cerulean Sea earlier this month. I liked both of them. I think Under the Whispering Door is a good step on from that. And then I have also started The Bone Ships. I'm about 50 pages into my reread, and I'm just loving it. Having a really good time. There's something nice about stepping back into your favourites. I don't have much to say. I do have a full review up for that, the first 2 books in that series, so we'll see how book 3 lives up to it, but I don't think I'm going to get to book 3 until next week, so that's where we're at. And Way of Kings continues to plod on. Did I make much progress? Did I make enough progress worthy of telling you? Oh, any progress is worthy, I suppose. I have 5 hours, 5 minutes left, so I've done about an hour, which is pretty good going. I'm going to grab some lunch. I'm going to have a nice lunchtime. I'm going to potentially do a bit more progress on a sewing project, depending on how long it takes me to have my lunch, and I will speak to you later. Hello, happy Saturday. I didn't end up vlogging yesterday because, sorry, I'm just getting Audible up. I had a really bad bout of insomnia just over this week, and yesterday I woke up and I felt a bit like I'd been hit by a bus. So I took a day off and I just sort of lounged about a bit. I did do a bit more sewing. I didn't rest fully because I am incapable of doing that. I've nearly finished that sewing project. I've got a lot of hand sewing left to do, but that's a project for later in the week. I have been working on Way of Kings and I have 1 hour and 48 minutes left, which is not very long at all. I might be able to finish it over this weekend. It depends what else I'm up to, maybe alongside some of that hand sewing, maybe. I have to say I am still really enjoying it. I was worried, I think, going in that I would get very bogged down in it. I have a tendency to do that with books that are very popular. I've picked up bits and pieces of impressions of characters through like Twitter memes and such, and then you're kind of like, oh, that's that character, I already know what they're like because I've seen that. Whereas on this, I think listening to it rather than reading it means I'm picking up on like how you pronounce the name, rather than what the name looks like written down. It's just a lot of varying factors coming in, making it work, and I'm very much enjoying the whole business, really. I think it's a good book. Shock horror. Will I be jumping straight into the next one? I don't know. I haven't quite decided yet, which I need to decide pretty much now, because as soon as I'm finished filming this and getting this uploaded, I am going to write and film my August TBR, which needs to go up next week. So that decision will be made off camera very shortly. I've been very much enjoying that. I haven't read much of anything else. I did bring my copy of The Bone Ships down, just mostly as a visual cue for me to say you need to finish reading that. But other than that, I've not been really reading anything else. I did just get approved for The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik on NetGalley, so I think that's going to feature next month, or this month I should say. No, next month. It is still the 31st. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this week. I hope it's been enjoyable. I hope you've enjoyed seeing slightly different rooms of my house. Ooh. I don't know why I made the ghost noise, but it felt appropriate. Comment below, what have you been reading this week? What have you been up to? If you've got any projects on the go, I would love to hear about them. While you're down there commenting, you can also subscribe. It makes me feel loved and appreciated. Follow me on all of my social media. Come hang out on Discord. We have a lovely time. It's a lovely group of people there. That's all from me, and I will see you in the next one. There's gonna be some bloopers now. I'm audiobooking that. I've already said that. It's fine. And my microphone is stabbing me in the boob. Please stop stabbing me in the boob. Don't things on my lens cap.